Hey guys, it's Sam with the Film Fan Club here to review for you today the movie Warcraft. Warcraft is a video game adaptation. It's based on I believe there's two different games. There's two different kind of series of games. There's Warcraft, and then there's World of Warcraft, which is the online game that I'm kind of more familiar with because my dad played it a lot. Around me, he played World of Warcraft, and I never was really exposed to the actual just Warcraft proper, which I believe has more of a story to it. But I don't really know anything about the story altogether. So I just came in pretty fresh to the film, which I was worried about because I had seen from some of my other favorite critics like John Campea and people like that. They said that it might be confusing for a non-fan of the series, or a fan of the video games, rather. So I was a little bit worried. I went in, I saw it, and it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. I know some of the reviews for it right now are pretty mixed, and I think the Rotten Tomatoes, it's below 50%. I can't believe I don't have the graphic in front of me. So I believe it was below 50% last time I saw it. So that's like technically a negatively reviewed film for the most part. But I don't really get the hate. I'm going to give it a pretty good review for the most part because I wasn't expecting much, because I'd heard some of the bad. I mean, I heard good reviews too. Like aforementioned, John Campea gave it a pretty good review, and then my buddy Ricky, Ricky had said that Jeremy Johns gave it a pretty good review. So I was really looking forward to maybe it's not as bad. So my kind of anticipation level went up for it as I got closer to seeing the film, because at the beginning of the year it was nowhere on my top 10 of the most anticipated. Probably wasn't in my top 25 most anticipated, honestly, of this year or this summer even. But I saw it, and it was very good. What's the story? I tease the story so much, but it's really not that bad. It's pretty much a kind of almost like a refugee type of story. There's the orcs, and their world is dying, and there's some suspicion as to why it's dying, but we get into that as the story kind of unfolds. And the orcs need to find a new world, so they send some of their army into this new world, which is the kingdom of Azeroth or something like that. Just insert generic fantasy land name here. So, and which is fine. It's not. I don't really need it to be anything. It executes all the fantasy elements very well. The orcs need to go into Azeroth, and of course that's where we have a lot of our human characters. They live there, and so obviously the orcs, whenever they want to come and start taking it over, the humans aren't going to like that so much, so they start fighting back. And then also there's treachery afoot, with some people want to take over and rule over the humans, some orcs just want to live with the humans, so and there's some pretty interesting main characters. We have an orc that is kind of rebellious. He doesn't quite believe in what the kind of evil orc leaders are talking about. There's a sorcerer main evil orc who's our villain, and then there's also a wizard on the good side too, and there's a couple surprises out of him, and there's a young wizard as well. It's all very good and dandy. The characters, it explains them to you. It's not like the film does. I've heard the film be described as like Game of Thrones, as if you started watching Game of Thrones from like season 6 episode 4 or something like that, just like in the middle of the show or right as it's happening, and not really having anything leading up to it. But I thought it was pretty. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, if you know the game, you might know more about this world, but I feel like the characters that you get introduced to are pretty outright well explained, and they're not, I don't want to say generic, but they are kind of certain caricature kind of things, and that's okay for this film, because you need to do something safe, you need to do something simple like that to get your average film goer in the seat. Because obviously I'm not a fan of Warcraft, so if they did this great maybe very true to the video game story or something like that Warcraft adaptation that requires a lot of research or a lot of explanation or something that you can do in a video game, and it takes like 6 hours to play, but you can't do in a 2-hour movie. So I think for a 2-hour film, they were able to adapt the world and bring us a unique original story with some characters that were kind of caricature, but there were some prizes out of some of them that made them interesting and kind of well-rounded. They had some kind of arc at least to it, and I honestly, this film wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And so what are some of the negatives? Okay, CGI on the orcs I didn't really like. I'm not an animator, I don't do anything digital, myself, I'm not good at it, and but as a film goer, I feel like I'm kind of spoiled with a lot of other stuff, like the Na'vi that look, and I crap on James Cameron's Avatar all the time for the story and stuff, but like the Na'vi look amazing. Whenever you can recreate Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator Genesis, which was otherwise a bad film, and make it look pretty real. I mean, I don't know. I just thought the orcs could have been. They could have looked better, maybe. I don't know. And what else did I not really care for? I mean, there's like I said, caricaturish characters sometimes. It's not really that bad, and it's not like across the board each character is a caricature, but there are some of them that are like that, I guess I could say. The story is, like I said, it's safe. They play it safe with this film. It's a refugee story about these two people they live on the same place and they can't coincide together, so they have to take each other out or maybe find peace. And that's where it leaves you. And it takes some ballsy turns towards the end too, where I didn't expect it to be handled that way. I didn't expect some characters to go out that way. I didn't expect some. It actually has a turn where it's almost like, I don't know. I'm not going to compare it to The Dark Knight, but a character towards the end kind of makes a sacrifice that I'm like, wow. I kind of this movie's getting. It's not thinking it's deeper than it is, because it doesn't play like, oh, look at this deep thing we're doing, but it's also, it's doing something that is deeper than the film should be, which is good. I appreciate that it's aspiring to do something like that, and it's reaching, but it's not overplaying it. Like, yeah, we know we have this great message about, No, it really works for that aspect. I was talking about negatives, and I kind of started talking about pros again, because this movie, there's a lot to like out of it, I think. Warcraft, what am I going to give it out of 10? 6.5. I mentioned the CGI, the story. Story's generic. CGI, I didn't really care for that much. Some characters are kind of generic, but I thought there was so much wizarding fun, fantasy fun to be had in this film that it really made up for. It's a popcorn flick for sure, summer popcorn flick. I had just seen The Lobster and a couple other. I saw Money Monster and The Nice Guys all before I had seen this film. And make sure you check out the reviews for those films if you want to. And they're up right now. But also, so it was nice to kind of go from those smaller indies and then back into the big budget blockbusters. And I got to see some more indies, I guess, after this, or maybe down the line eventually. So 6.5 out of 10. I'm Sam Carrico. You can follow me for reviews of this film, other films, The Nice Guys, The Lobster, lots of cool stuff up on the Film Fan Club's YouTube channel right now, so make sure you subscribe there. And follow me on my social media, which is Twitter and Instagram, at Samuel D. Carrico. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next review.